Hey everybody, Billy Bob here. It's Tuesday, but it's Monday morning quarterback NFL edition. So we're going to get right to it. Um, oh, why am I not wearing Cleveland Browns attire? I think I told you that last week that I didn't bring any with me on my trip. And I said I would buy some if I could find it at 80% off because the Browns had lost 80% of their games. Well, they're closer now to 70%. They won this weekend. We'll talk about it more in a minute. But I still don't have anything. So, besides, it's week. It's the week. It's game week, which we'll talk about more, probably starting tomorrow. Talked a little yesterday. Not so much, but a little. But more tomorrow. But let's get to the injury report. Buccaneers Baker Mayfield out shoulder injury, not surgery. I think they did an MRI. They found that there was no damage. It's pretty similar to the injury that Joe Flacco has, the AC joint injury. Speaking of Flacco, we'll talk about him in a bit too. So Teddy Bridgewater filled in for Mayfield in the second half. What I saw wasn't very good. Teddy's a little rusty, coming off of being suspended from his high school football coaching duties at, I believe it was Miami Northwestern, where he played. T. Higgins carted off the field, head injury, concussion. I don't have any update on that other than he's in protocol, right? Concussion protocol. So, in fact, I think he was actually ruled out for this week because it's a Thursday night game. They play. Who do they play? Stinking Ravens, I believe. Ashton Genty, Oakland Raiders, ankle injury, left the game late against the Browns. Didn't come back. They had a couple other guys. Probably didn't come back because of the score, but they still had a chance. I mean, they lost by 2. Alvin Kamara, Saints running back, he exited last week with week 12. That's this week. Wow, Billy. Knee injury, ruled out second half. He's going to get an MRI. He did get it yesterday. I don't know the update. And then Steelers DK Metcalf, limped off the field a couple times, but he came back every time he limped off. So day to day is probably what I would say. Patriots left tackle Will Campbell carted off the field with a knee injury. When you're carted off, it doesn't sound good, right? Cardinals defensive lineman Walter Nolan scored a touchdown in the first quarter, but then he suffered a knee injury and he was ruled out the rest of the game. Chiefs right guard Trey Smith, they got their own issues, right? The Chiefs have issues. Ankle injury against the Colts. Doesn't look like he'll play against the Cowboys on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Then the Vikings lost 2 offensive linemen, left tackle Christian Darrisaw, foot injury, and left guard and Buckeye Donovan Jackson with an ankle injury. And let's see, what else? Lastly, the Eagles, 2 starters in their secondary, cornerback Adoree Jackson with a concussion, and safety Reed Blankenship due to he left the game with a thigh injury. All right, before we get to the scores and the Brownies, let's talk about Buckeye wide receivers and other such Buckeyes. Garrett Wilson still didn't play. Been nursing an injury. Jackson Smith and Jigba continues to dominate and lead the league in receptions and yards, probably yards too, I think. 8 catches, 167 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr., recovering from appendicitis, did not play. Chris Olave, 9 catches, 70 yards, no touchdowns. Emeka Egbuka, got to remember, Baker goes out. Bridgewater comes in. Familiarity is different. 3 catches, 32 yards, no touchdowns. and Terry McLaurin. It was a bye week for the Washington Redskins. Running backs, Travion Henderson, 18 carries, 66 yards, no touchdowns, 3 pass catches, 3 receptions, pass catches, you know what I mean, for no touchdowns. Quinshawn, we'll talk about him in a minute. Justin Fields didn't play. He was replaced by Tyrod Taylor, who had an okay day. 17 out of 28, 222 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Probably not a huge upgrade from what Fields would have been. C.J. Stroud did not play. The Texans beat the Bills 23-19. Davis Mills, decent day, 16 out of 30, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, when you look at, I said Tyrod Taylor, not a great day. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Davis Mills, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So, got to give the lean there. By the way, back to the Buccaneers, who got stomped. They had 103 yards total passing in their game. So, all right, let's talk about Brownies here. There's a few things, some controversy, some not. Let's talk about the good stuff first, right? Let's talk Myles Garrett. He broke his own record. He had 3 sacks in the game, and he now, I believe, has 21 sacks on the year, and you got 6 games to go. So, crazy. Unbelievable game. Browns had 10 sacks in the game, and we'll get to those stats a little more. Oh, in fact, maybe we'll just go to them right now. Let's go. So we had a new starter, right? I mean, that's controversy because should he start? Shouldn't he start? Why isn't he starting? Is the offensive line really protecting for him? Are they just, and then the R word comes into play. Stefanski doesn't like him. Stefanski's got an agent who's same agent as Dylan Gabriel's agent, but Dylan Gabriel's out with a concussion, so Shedeur has to start. He did good. He did pretty good for his start. He had 11 out of 20, 209 yards, averaged 10.5 yards a reception. Now, some would say a lot of those yards were yards after the catch. A lot of quarterbacks have yards after the catch, right? So he had a really nice pass downfield to Isaiah Bond. I think it was a 61-yard total. Let's see. 52 yards total. My bad. 52 yards. The 66 was the screen pass to Dylan Sampson. Screen, the line blocked well. Sampson, big burst of speed down the sideline, 66 yards for a touchdown. And that that was a key in the game, not to mention it. But Shedeur, 11 of 20, 209 yards, 1 TD, and 1 pick. So he was only sacked 1 time for 3 yards. I thought he played a pretty good game. I watched the whole game. One of the things I saw early on that I was like, and maybe he'll just learn this, sometimes when he handed the ball off or he made some fakes and he was a little nonchalant, it was like, it wasn't that crisp, like you hand it off and you make your cut, it was like you hand the ball off and you just stood there. So that might be nitpicky. I'm not trying to pick on a guy. I wanted to see him do well. I wanted to see how he played this year. I've said that for weeks. And by the way, he gets to start again. And this time, he and the Browns are playing a whole different team this Sunday. They're playing the San Francisco 49ers, who are 8-4, and put it on the Panthers last night, Monday night. Quinshawn, nice game. The stats don't tell it all. 16 carries, 47 yards, which only was 2.9 yards a carry, but he had 2 touchdowns. He was running out of the Wildcat long run of 11, and they were tough yards. I thought he played well. didn't have any receptions. Isaiah Bond, as I said, nice day. Harold Fannin, another nice day, 4 catches, 40 yards. So, and then here comes, wait a minute. As I said, not only did the Browns have 10 sacks, but they had 13 tackles for loss. So that's 23 plays that were behind, that they got the Raiders behind the line of scrimmage. 23 offensive plays, the Raiders lost yards. That's pretty sporty. Out of let's see, how many plays did they even have here? Let's take a look real quick. Bear with me. Total plays 75. The Raiders ran 75 plays. The Browns only ran 48. I didn't look at that, but and time of possession, you would think the Raiders won this game, 36 minutes to 23 minutes for the Browns, but the Browns were quick strike. Let's see here. Oh, where do I want to go? Oh, I wanted to go to, here's the controversy. The big controversy of this game is that Kevin Stefanski punted the ball with 59 seconds to go in the game. He was at his own, they're at the Raiders 29. Okay, so 29 and 7 is 36. So it'd be a 46-yard field goal. Instead, Stefanski chose to punt, which I thought was a little curious at the time, but then I'm like, well, okay, he's going to try and pin him deep, you know. Corey Bjork is a really good punter. And for the most part, he did pin him deep, the 10-yard line. So they had to go 90 yards to get a touchdown, and then they still needed to score another touchdown. Well, so you say to me, Billy Bob, what's the controversy? Well, the controversy seems to be, why didn't he go for the field goal? I read comment after comment, then it was, it got so far in the weeds, it was unbelievable. But here's what it really comes down to, folks. The score was 24-10 final. If Andre Schmidt kicks that field goal and makes it, it's 27-10. Okay? What's the total? 37. Why is that important? The over-under was 36.5. So now the accusation is that Kevin Stefanski was playing the over-under. Really, folks? Come on. The end of the game, The guy, what do you mean, yep? Yeah. Look at Mrs. Billy Bob over here. Yep. Conspiracy. You think the guy's that's what he's worried about? He's got it on his play sheet. Over-under is 36.5. Punt. I'm not going for that. Now, I thought, well, maybe, Schmidt, he had a rough start at the beginning of the year, but he actually has kicked pretty well, field goals pretty well, 16 out of 19, 3 or 4 from 40-plus yards. So that says you go for it, right? You kick it, the field goal. But a lot of things can happen. Blocked field goal, run it back, who knows? I have no problem with what happened. I wasn't betting either. So, so be it. All right, let's take a quick look at some of these scores. Texans, I mentioned the Texans beat the Bills. Bills, what a disappointment. They're 7-4, but, they're still probably going to make the playoffs, but they ain't doing what they were doing. The Bears, they beat the Steelers 31-28. The Bengals lose 26-20. Joe Flacco, tough SOB. Got an AC joint injury. He plays really well. He did throw 1 pick six. He said he didn't even see the guy. I get it. But then he's out on the field holding his finger, dangling it towards the sidelines. He dislocated his finger. I guess it was all sideways. Goes over to the bench. They put it back in place. They tape it up. And a couple plays later, he goes back in the game. And what does he do? Perfect pass for a touchdown. I mean, this guy, and that brought him to 23-20. They were down 3. The defense didn't hold. They let the Patriots go down, kick a field goal. That was it. Anyway. So, but the Bengals here, we're here in the natty Cincinnati. And on TV, people here still think they got a chance to make the playoffs. They're 3-8. I'm like, how can you think you got a chance to make the playoffs? 3-8. Well, the reason they think that is because the two teams leading the division, the Steelers and the stinking Ravens, are both 6-5. So, and I know they have to play. So they're playing the Ravens this week, and then they got to play the Steelers at least once. They got to play the Browns the last game of the year. I don't know that makes a difference, but the reality is the Browns are 3-8, so they're not completely out of it either. I know I'm smoking the wacky tobacco here, but let's see. Lions take care of the Giants. Giants did pretty well. I mean, they stood up for themselves, 34-27 final in overtime. Packers finally starting to, put a little bit together to put a hurting on the Packers. J.J. McCarthy took a hit. I mean, he took a few hits in that game. But Seahawks overcome the Titans. And we talked about JSN, Smith and Jigba, big game there. Chiefs eke it out in overtime against the Colts. So the Chiefs are 6-5. Can you say disappointment one more time? Stinking Ravens beat the Jets. They change quarterbacks and they still lose. Browns, Raiders, we talked about that game. Jags beat the Cardinals in OT. Eagles get beat by the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 5-5. Eagles 8-3. I mean, come on, man. I guess they're playing in Texas Stadium, so that's the advantage. Falcons over the Saints, 24-10. Two bad teams. The Buccaneers, very disappointing, I'm sure. Very disappointing. Of course, Mayfield went out. They get hammered by the Los Angeles Rams, 34-7. They fall to 6-5, and the Rams are 9-2. And then last night's game, the Panthers and the Niners. Niners had another nice game, 20-9. Although the game was really wacky early. Each team had thrown 2 interceptions in the first half. So, and then I fell asleep. So, so did the Panthers apparently. That's what I got. It's a wrap. America, land of the free because of the brave. Stay focused, America. Billy Bob, peace out.